Hey, how are you, everyone? This is Michael Oskam with ProWestRecording.com and ProAudioLessons.com. Today's video is a quick one. I want to point out a production technique that I'm hearing more and more, and it's interesting. It's something I've been doing for a while, and I'm really kind of excited to hear that it's being used in more and more mixes, and especially in the pop genre. It's a vocal technique. I hear it in songs from artists like Ed Sheeran. I just was listening to a song by Echo Smith called "The Cool Kids," which I'm sure you've heard of. It's in the chorus of that song. And what I'm talking about is an octave. Okay, so it's a way to make your vocals really thick. Okay, we all know that double tracking a vocal is usually a good way to make it sound thick. So on a chorus, you'll have two takes. You'll have your vocalist do two takes of the same chorus, and then you'll layer them. And because of their phase differences, it kind of makes it sound thick, even if they're both panned right up the middle, or maybe you pan one of them off just a little bit. But another way to do it, in addition to a double, would be an octave, and there's just a few simple ways to do it. This song is a song you've probably heard. I've been working on it a lot, but this has the octave in it. I'm going to play the chorus for you, and you'll notice the last line that the vocal part is stacked.
I need to find some clarity, some sense of closure, some sense of peace. You left me behind, tore my heart in pieces. We may be over, but you haunt my dreams.
Yeah, so what I'm talking about is that "You Haunt My Dreams" right there.
You haunt my dreams.
And it just gives the part this depth that it didn't have before. And when people hear that lower octave, that lower register, they're like, oh, their ears perk up. It sounds cool. Now this, like I said, this is a technique that's being used more and more, and sometimes it's subtle. But it's definitely there, so I challenge you to listen to even just a few of the artists I mentioned in this video. Go take a listen, and you'll notice it. And you're like, oh yeah, that sounds good. Maybe I never noticed it before, because it is subtle, but it is there. So I'm going to take you through how I did it real quick. Now, if you've been watching any of my videos for any length of time, you know that I use Melodyne just as a control mechanism, basically. So this vocal was captured into Melodyne. And then what you're able to do in Melodyne, quite simply, is copy particular wave information and then move it. So you'll see here,
You haunt my dreams.
I took the original part, I moved it up, created the fifth, the upper octave, and then the lower octave. And you get that really, really full sound.
You haunt my dreams.
Of course, it also helps that the band drops out right there and gives that whole line just a clear space for it to cut through. A few other ways to do it if you don't have Melodyne. One way that's kind of weird that I don't see a lot of people do would be to pitch shift it in Pro Tools using an Audio Suite plugin. So, for example, if I were to copy this down here, now I have it not Melodyned, right?
You haunt.
Let me mute that.
You haunt my dreams.
That's an effect.
You haunt my dreams. You haunt my dreams.
Sounds different, obviously, right? So you could, in essence, come up here to Audio Suite. This is a Pro Tools trick, obviously. I'll show you some other ways. It usually shouldn't matter what DAW you're in. And you should see a pitch shift. Here we go. So you could use, literally use the straight up pitch shift, and you could shift it down an octave. So the easiest way to do that is to have it be 12 semitones. And we could preview. Now you notice it sounds a little, when you do it this way, it sounds a little unnatural. So I recommend if you do it using this kind of process, it's literally slowing it down, and that's why it's getting that weird kind of. So if you were to use it this way, I would suggest mixing it in underneath pretty low. Keep it subtle, because it will start, people will be like, what the hell was that? You know what I mean? So that's one way to do it. Another way to do it would be to use like a guitar rack emulation and switch on an octave pedal. Okay, if you have some of the wave stuff like guitar stomp, any of those types of things, you can try using something like an octave pedal.
You haunt my dream.
And in that instance, it doesn't even really sound like it, but it's just that lower octave that gives it that cool sound.
You haunt my dream.
And now, if you listen to the songs and anything I mentioned, it's much cleaner than that. So there's two other ways. One way is if you have some wave stuff, they have some pitch shifting plugins that you can use, like ultra pitch shift, all of these. So let's try this. I don't even know how to use this, to be quite honest with you. But you could, maybe you know. So that's one way you can do it. I'm looking for one in particular that Waves makes. Is it this one? Yeah. So here's the same idea. You could bring it down 12 semitones.
You haunt my dream.
Okay.
You haunt my dream.
I even kind of like that underneath what I already had. It kind of thickens it up a little bit more even. I'll turn it down a little bit. And then, of course, the other way is using either some sort of auto-tune, waves tune, or Melodyne to get that octave. So anyway, hope this was a cool technique. Try it. Try it on parts of your vocal, you know, choruses or bridges or particular lines that you want to be different and cool and stand out. It's used all the time. So not only do I challenge you to use this in your own projects going forward, but I challenge you to listen for it in music that you listen to every day. And it's in all genres: pop, rock, metal. It's a very prevalent technique, and it's really, really quite simple. Anyway, thank you so much for watching this video and for subscribing. If you haven't already, please click the subscribe button. Really exciting news coming this summer. In addition to my album dropping, which you guys will know all about, proaudiolessons.com, which you've heard me talking about for a few months, will be up and running. It's a membership site. It's going to be awesome. Anyway, we'll talk more about that later. Hit me up if you have questions. Michael@prowestrecording.com is the email. And I hope you have a good rest of the day.